Well, hey everyone, welcome back to yet another episode of Fun Filtered, where we answer the real questions authors are asking about publishing, marketing, and getting their books into the hands of those who need them. I am, in fact, not Carol Tetzloff, but I am filling in for her because she is stuck in an airport somewhere, or hopefully, actually, is she in the air? I think
She
she's in the
made the first connection. I don't know about the second one. So we are
Okay.
praying
Well,
that she is currently on a plane.
and so we apologize in advance if we get confused and I get called Carol. We could
Yes.
also just say I am Carol Tetzloff
Yes,
for
playing the
the
role today.
purposes of this.
Yes. Well, I am Heather, and we have a couple of questions that we want to address today. And as always, we believe that they won't just help the one who asked them, but they will be extremely helpful to all of you.
Absolutely. And our first question is from the lovely Sue Montgomery.
Oh,
So
yay.
she asks, I'm looking for advice on how to secure professional reviews as requested by my county's library system for them to consider accepting my hybrid published children's book into their libraries. Suggestions on how to proceed and which professional organizations to submit to. Heather, I think the first thing we probably need to clear up is what the library really means by professional review.
Yeah, that's a great point, Sarah, because they're generally not talking about Amazon reviews or Goodreads reviews or even wonderful endorsements or reader reviews from people who are influential. When a library asks for a professional review, they are typically referring to a review from an established book industry publication that librarians and bestsellers use when they're deciding which books to purchase.
Yeah, so we're talking about names like Publishers Weekly, Booklist, School Library Journal, Kirkus Reviews, and Forward Reviews.
Exactly. But here's where it could get a little confusing, especially for independently and hybrid published authors. Some companies also refer to fee-based professional review services. So you submit your book, you pay for the review service, and then you receive a professional editorial review. So examples of that would be Kirkus Indie, Forward Clarion, Blue Ink Review, and Book Life Reviews.
And I think this next part will actually save Sue and other authors a whole lot of money. Before you pay for one of those reviews, ask your library what they actually accept.
Yes, yes. Because one library system may accept a reputable fee-based professional review, while another may specifically require a review where the book was independently selected for consideration. So those are two very different things.
Yeah. So, Sue and all other authors who are listening, I would contact your library system collection development department. Let me say that again. So, your library's collection development department and ask something very specific like when you require professional reviews for hybrid published books, which review sources do you accept? And do you accept fee based professional reviews such as Kirkus Indie, Forward Clarion, Blue Ink, or Book Life reviews? Let me say that one more time because I think that's a great, easy, templated question that you can put in an email or ask in person at your local library. When you require professional reviews for hybrid published books, which review sources do you accept? And do you accept fee based professional reviews such as Kirkus Indie, Forward Clarion, Blue Ink, or Book Life reviews?
Yeah, and that one question could really keep you from spending several $100s on a review that doesn't actually satisfy the requirement for that specific library.
Exactly. Find the requirement first, or find out the requirement first, and then choose where to submit based on that. Because Sue has a children's book, Heather, where would you suggest she look first?
So for the traditional review consideration, I'd particularly look into school, library, journal, and book list. They are both highly relevant to librarians and children's books. But if the library confirms that they'll accept a reputable fee-based professional review, look more closely at things like Kirkus Indie, Blue Ink, or Forward Clarion.
Yep. And one thing I love about this question is that Sue actually asked the library what they needed. And I think that's a great reminder for all of us as authors, because sometimes we start spending money trying to make our books more attractive to a library, a bookstore, a ministry, a school, an organization, without asking first, what do you actually require?
Yes, that's such a good point. And I would say, if we can just sidestep for a second, that goes for bookstores too. That if your book is, we'll just use Barnes and Noble as the example because it's a very large bookstore. We get asked, or I get asked all the time, why isn't my book in Barnes and Noble? Well, your book, it has, as long as it is printed through Ingram, Barnes and Noble has access. All the bookstores have access to order that book. But each store, just like the library has the collection department, each store has a buying department where they are making decisions for that store specifically. However, you could go to one Barnes and Noble and they will say you need to talk to corporate, and you could go to another Barnes and Noble and they have someone there local in the store that you can connect with. So go specifically to the store where you want your book to appear. And as Sarah said, ask what they actually require to have your book on the shelf. Don't guess when you can simply ask.
Exactly. And speaking of not knowing where to begin, our second question for today is one I think almost every first-time author has wrestled with at some point in time.
Definitely. This one comes from Jessica Joy, and she asks, where are people hosting their website? And how are they authoring them? I've never had a website, and I'm not sure where to start or how to compare the different avenues of having a website. So Sarah, there are so many website options that I think the number of choices can actually make it feel like it's so much harder than it needs to be.
Absolutely. And Jessica, the good news is that you do not need to become a website expert in order to be an author or have a good author website. And honestly, most authors usually go in one of two directions. They either use an easy website builder such as Wix or Squarespace, mine's on Squarespace, choose a template and build it themselves without needing to know how to code and all of that. Or the other avenue is that they hire someone else to build the site for them, often using something like WordPress, Wix, or Squarespace as well.
Yeah. And so if this is your very first website, I'd really resist the urge to build everything you might possibly need for 5 years from now.
Yes, you do not need 15 million pages and all the bells and whistles, because I will tell you, if you have 15 million pages, or let's even say 15, people don't have time for that. So
No.
your website has a pretty simple job. And I think when we keep that in mind, it also helps too. When someone lands on your website, they should be able to figure out, number one, who are you? Number two, what is your book about? Number three, is this book for me? And finally, what should I do next? What is my call to action for my website visitor?
Yes, I think that's an important distinction. Oftentimes, we're in the trap of thinking a website needs to be super impressive and, like you said, have all the bells and whistles. But in reality, it just needs to be simple and clear and useful. If they have to dig for something, and I will attest to this. If I have to dig for something, I am probably going to continue looking elsewhere, because if I can't find it, I don't have a whole lot of time to spend, browsing through all of the ins and outs of a fancy website.
Exactly. What is it? We have the attention span of a goldfish, which
Yeah.
I don't know who studies that.
Right.
But it works for this. We just don't have the
Yeah.
attention span that we even had 10 years ago. And so the more bells and whistles that we have, I think the more distracted people become. So if we can really hone into the things that matter to that website visitor, we're going to have so much more success.
Yeah.
And we actually have just done an entire training on websites, which we will encourage you to go back and watch again. But at minimum, I would start with this: a home page, an about page, a page for your books or book, a way for people to contact you, and then a way for your readers to join your email list. So,
Mhm.
5 things. If you have those 5 things, you're doing well.
And I would say each one of those is essential, because you don't just want someone to visit the website once and click and then you never hear from them again. You want to give them a natural way to stay connected.
Mhm. And when you're comparing website platforms, Jessica, I wouldn't get buried in the really long feature list. Stick to simplicity and ask a few simple questions. How easy is this for me to use?
Mm,
What will it cost me each month or each year? That's a big one, because we might be able to afford something initially, but you also have to maintain it as well. Third, can I make basic updates myself without calling a web developer every time I
mm.
want to change a sentence? And this is vitally important as somebody who tried to change, let me say, tried to change one sentence and caused a website disaster. So that really is important, because I'm sure that took years off of my life, and probably the friend who created and then had to fix my oops. So, very important that those basic updates are something that you can handle on your own. And then last but not least, I think this is is this question number 4, Heather? I think it's question number 4. If it's
Oh,
not, that's okay.
yes,
Yeah.
it is the fourth.
Okay.
Yep.
Huzzah. And can the site grow with me if I add another book, speaking, a podcast, a ministry, something else later? Because remember, your website is a growing, living, breathing thing. What you start with doesn't mean what you have to end up with. It's just to get you started and get people connecting to you.
Yes. And if I can just say to that point that yes, you want it to grow with you, but don't get into that over analysis trap of where it has to be perfect before you move forward on it, because you think, well, what will it need someday? And I need to make sure it's all perfect so that it's easy. You can always pivot a little bit. Just make sure that you're at a site that will allow you to make those adjustments, like Sarah was saying. And if you've never built a website before, Wix or Squarespace are often easier starting points than something like WordPress, which is a little bit more complex. It's flexible, but flexibility comes with more decisions, more maintenance, and oftentimes a bit of a steeper learning curve.
Yes. And some of us need lower curves than others.
Yes, yes, me.
Yes. Me too. Me too. So, Jessica, I guess the biggest thing that we would probably say is don't let the options keep you from starting. A
Mhm.
simple, clear website that you actually finish and can maintain is far more valuable than an elaborate website that is half built and won't be for the next 6 months.
Yeah, yes, so true. And really, there's a common thread in both of these questions today. You don't have to know everything before you take the next step. Oftentimes, we are actually what hinders us is we're like 5 steps down the road. instead of what is the next best step. And so if a library is asking for professional reviews, ask them what qualifies. You can't begin to prepare reviews unless you know what they're asking for. And then if you need a website, identify what it is that you actually need for the website to do, and then choose the simplest tool that will help you to accomplish that.
And that's really it. Good questions lead to better decisions, and they often save authors time, money, and a whole lot of unnecessary frustration. So,
Mhm.
thank you, Sue and Jessica, both, for such good, practical, and pertinent questions.
Yes,
And
yes.
if you
So
have a book marketing question your own self that you'd like us to tackle on Fun Filtered, send it our way because we are actually hurting for questions. So, and I know y'all have them.
I
Chances are, if you are wondering about something, like we've said before, someone else is too.
hmm Yep. Didn't we all hear that in school too? Like, there are no stupid questions. And if you ask it, know that other people are wondering the same thing. So please, please let us know what you have so that we can address it for everyone as well. And we are so happy that you joined us today. We look forward to seeing you again next week.
On the next Fun Filtered, well,
Yeah.
we will continue to answer the questions that are important to you. Have a wonderful day, everyone.
Take care. Bye bye.